We are now at the Hannah Gallery in Marin City, which is a space that we are fortunate to get to do an art show. We're looking at what is the start of putting together a telling of the story of the show. And what you see here is that story. One of the things that I'm always watching for with the students is what's the spark that will carry their energy along and will move us forward in a variety of areas, not just academic areas, but also social and emotional. You notice that the kids really enjoyed building. The kids were interested in building houses and buildings and architectural ideas. And so that led me to think about how can I use this energy to carry us into other aspects of the curriculum. So I've worked over the course of this year to do an integrated unit that crosses visual art, science, social studies, and literature. One of the things that we have worked on over the course of the year is that different materials operate in different ways, and that is all about the science, which is called physics. And we have looked at a whole variety of buildings that are quite amazing to look at. That's been a way into physics.
We'll knock yours down and we'll help you fix it. Yes.
All right, I see something.
Coming to life.
Coming to life. Yeah.
We were beginning to talk about biographies, and I thought, well, why not? If we're working on biographies, let's connect it to the architecture work. And in particular, let's connect it to African American architectures, because most of the class, all but 2 students, are African American. Here's a book. It's hard to even see. I don't know if you can see the title of it, but because it's black on black. And you would think, oh, it can't be very interesting. The kids flock to this book. Opening it up. Well, I wonder if Mr. Williams is in this book and what his buildings look like. Oh, look, I've never seen this guy before. Where did he work? Oh, and Miss Franz, there's that kind of energy is so exciting to see. And for them, the difference between the beginning of the year, where there was an enormous amount of angry energy, there still is that angry energy, but there's also this full of life and spirit energy around doing something like this. The photos are just dragged in, and then we did the writing together. And whereas kids have not been too interested in writing, for this, there was a great deal of excitement. I began to have kids work on architecture specifically and brought in lots and lots and lots and lots of architecture books. I just covered the area on the floor and around the wall. And the kids thrived. That electricity, that spark of, oh, look at this, was everywhere. It was phenomenal. They have their hands on some really big, beautiful architecture books. They know they have to be careful with them and that they're being entrusted with them. And I just really see over the course of the year how much they love books. From the beginning of the school year, I wanted children to work with the idea of abstraction related to the architecture work that they were building. Accordion books are very architectural, so I thought, well, let's have a class accordion book that each student will be able to take home, and that each student will have their own work on one of the cards and other children's work on the rest of the cards. Again, the level of excitement around making the books is huge. The amount of energy around, oh, well, we're not just making these things, we're making them into something that we're going to show in a gallery, and we made it.
We built that because you were here. We built the
Almost all the children in the class do not yet have a high level of resilience around things. So if something is too hard, they want to stop. And one way of stopping is acting out, because then in their minds, they might get out of doing the task. But doing this kind of work allows me to work around, you did it here, you can do it here, let me teach you how to do this. Let me help you figure out how to do it in this context. Without this kind of work, the children who don't yet have a lot of resilience are stuck. They do not have any evidence at all that they can do it. One of the kids was busy building his tower, and it must have fallen 6 or 7 times. He was completely into, all right, let me build it, and then let me try to stabilize it with the Kappa blocks.
I use these long rectangles, and I use the rhombus.
And you were adding them down here. What was that to help stabilize the pattern blocks?
Yes, so it doesn't fall.
That's an idea of thinking. And his persistence with working it through is evidence of ongoing thinking. How am I going to make this work? This has been a very powerful experience for all of us, not just for the children, but for me. One of the things that the project has done is give me permission to do this kind of work. I've always been able to say, this is what we need to do and this is why we need to do it on behalf of the children.